In loving memory of Emily Haynes. Peyton Hopeck. Connor Bigelow. Sean McMahon. Catherine Lawrence. Veronica Chodnowska. Megan Connect. Kira Blake. Kelly McRae. Loretta Fuentes. Matthew Chin. Mia Montero. Emma Sylvester. Rebecca Candeloro. Allison Hagan. Justin Van Oostendorp. Bella Barbosa. Matthew Cisneros. David Martinez. Michael Bruno. Blake Januzzi. Wendy Richards. And Margaret Hodge.
Students and staff, thank you for joining us this afternoon. A lot has happened over the past 2 days. Yesterday, 21 students and 2 staff members died. Their iPads and phones were taken away, leaving their texts, Snapchats, and Instagrams unchecked. After school ended, the group traveled to the Best Western Hotel where additional activities took place. The group listened to Mrs. Lorraine Reedy, who spoke about the importance of filling your emotional bucket with people and activities that bring you happiness. Later that night, the students wrote emotional goodbye letters to their mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters, friends and family. This allowed them to show their appreciation towards their loved ones. We are lucky to have a few students who were willing to share their letters today. The assembly marks the end of our journey, where we can mourn and honor those who we lost. Here's Kelly with a recap of the last 24 hours.
It's impossible to convey the emotions that took place behind the scenes of what occurred over the past 24 hours. Students were pulled out of their classes and pulled out on a stretcher. The students had absolutely no form of communication with their friends and family from that point on. Their phones and iPads were taken away. They returned to class but were unable to talk to anyone for the rest of the day. They would walk down the halls in silence, unable to show any emotion to the people that they have grown so close to over the past years. This showed their peers, teammates, coaches, and teachers what it would be like to go through the day without them, even though it was for a short period of time. The students' lack of communication hit those around them with a resounding impact. After school was over, the students were sent to a hotel, still without any form of communication with their friends and family, isolating them even further.
Emily Haynes,
Sean McMahon,
Catherine Lawrence,
Kira Blake, Kelly McRae, and Loretta Fuentes, Emma Sylvester, Allison Hagen, David Martinez, and Michael Bruno,
Miss Richards and Mrs. Hodge.
National statistics indicate that every 15 minutes, somebody dies in an accident related to alcohol, drugs, and most recently, distracted driving. Welcome to the Days of Realization.
Prom was only a few months away and Veronica couldn't wait.
After hanging out at Starbucks, Megan and her friends were walking around downtown New Providence.
I just won another basketball game at GL. Mia and her friends were at a party when her friends started pressuring her to have a beer.
Justin had surgery a few months ago and still had some prescription painkillers left. Took a 30-pack of beer and brought it to David's beach house.
To celebrate, they stole a couple of beers. They're drinking too much at a party. Matthew was fooling around with his friends, and as a joke, he jumped in front of his friend's car.
One night, he decided to see what the high would be like if he mixed it with alcohol while his friends cheered him on.
After picking out the perfect dress, she was driving to her house in Berkeley Heights from Summit.
She was going a little faster than she usually did, but Kelly thought nothing of it. David jumped into the ocean in an attempt to save his friend, but he was unable to fight the current. Loretta had a few drinks and did not tell Kelly or Kira.
Despite being impaired, she was speeding through the reservation, lost control, and collided with another car.
At the end of the night, while he was driving home, he was T-boned by another driver who was texting.
When a drunk driver blew through a red light and collided with her car. Her friends thought that she was sleeping since she was complaining about being tired earlier.
The combination of the two caused him to overdose and suddenly pass out. Impact forced the car off the road and into a tree.
As they drove away, the driver sped down Route 22 and Mountainside, and the driver lost control and slammed into a tree.
As she began to pick up speed, they told her to slow down, which led to an argument between the three girls. She blew through the red light and collided with an SUV.
As they were driving on Route 22, a drunk driver turned off the side street and hit him.
Blake was in critical condition and was taken to University Hospital by helicopter.
Paramedics arrived minutes later, but it was too late to save Emily.
After being knocked unconscious, he drowned in the lake and died before his friends called 911.
Her body was found 25 feet away. She was pronounced dead at the scene. The accident happened at 10 p.m. and Veronica was pronounced dead at the hospital at 11:15.
Matthew died instantly, and the driver who hit him was found guilty of texting and driving.
The next morning they called 911 when she would not wake up. The final cause of Mia's death was alcohol poisoning.
Emma was airlifted to University Hospital in Newark for sustained trauma and was pronounced dead early the next day. Doctors tried to save him, but he died due to internal bleeding.
Miss Richards hit her head and died from major blood loss. Miss Hodge was brought to the hospital, but died shortly thereafter.
And later that night, he choked to death on his own vomit. Justin will be greatly missed by his parents and brother. Megan leaves behind her devastated friends and family.
As part of the Days of Realization program, all the students and teachers that participated in the event wrote a goodbye letter to their friends and family. I would like to take a moment to thank you all for your moving words after such a long and emotional day. Thank you for your thoughtfulness and for being a part of this program. We have asked 5 students and 1 teacher to share their letters with all of you. At this time, I would like to invite Becca Candeloro to the stage to share her letter.
To my family and friends that never failed to make me smile, the joy that you brought me every single day makes this harder for me, harder than it already is. Mom and Dad, the only thing I can think to say is thank you. Thank you for teaching me the importance of being a good person, of being kind and understanding and patient. Mom, I'm sorry that I had to go and leave this dream you've put so much time, love, support, and effort into helping me achieve. Never let the spark I always saw in you give out. Dad, you inspired me every day to work hard as humanly possible, and to always give 100% of myself, because you never gave any less than that for us. Thank you both for showing me the kind of love I always dreamt of having when I grew up, and for surrounding me with the most beautiful family I could ever ask for. To my siblings that showed me what tough love was and helped shape me into the student, friend, and person I became, I love you guys. Victor and Vanessa, thank you for guiding me and teaching me the importance of being helpful and involved in school and at home. And Thomas, thank you for growing up by my side and teaching me that an older brother can be a friend too. Wherever you end up at school, you're going to do really great things. Give Tessa a kiss for me and put Rocky's collar in a safe place. To my friends who have made some of the strongest impacts on me, you guys deserve the world and so much more. You're some of the smartest, most talented, wise, most gorgeous, and most caring people I have ever met. And I can't wait to watch you from above and see what the future holds for you all. Thank you for lifting me up always and making me laugh until tears filled my eyes. Those are some of my favorite memories that filled my life. I'm sorry I had to go, and I'm sorry that I had to leave everything behind. All the experiences, the support, the mentors that guided me, the relatives that held me, and the endless love that was poured into me every single minute of every day. Mom and Dad, you mean the world to me, and if I'm going to miss anything the most, it'll be your physical embrace and feeling every ounce of your love fill me every morning waking up and every night before I went to bed. Hug each other tight and remember that I'm always there, watching and waiting patiently for the day that you join me, and I'm able to feel your embrace again. I'll never forgive myself for being so reckless, and I'll never stop apologizing. Know that it hurts me to know that I hurt you guys. But I want you guys to promise me that you'll carry on being the best versions of yourselves for me. I love each and every one of you beyond limits. Thank you for everything, and I can't wait to see you again. All my love, Becca.
Next, I would like to invite Veronica Jajnowska to read her letter.
Never in a million years would I have thought that this would happen. I always thought that I would be able to live my life to the fullest. I thought I would graduate college, get happily married, have children, and create a loving family that I've always dreamed of. I thought I would grow old and be able to make many more memories with those close to me. Never would I have thought that this would be it. Never would I have thought that this would be me. Never seeing anyone I loved again, never having a chance to say my last goodbye. It's crazy, if you really think about it, how your life can change in a matter of seconds, how an innocent life can be taken from this earth in a flash. Mom, Dad, you have been there for me since I was brought into this world. For the past 17 years, everything you have done has been for my best interests. I know I may not always be the easiest child a parent may deal with, and that I definitely don't listen to you most of the time. However, no matter what, you both love and care for me regardless. You push me to do the right things and encourage me to be a better person. It amazes me how you have managed to raise 7 great kids and still continue to do so. Even though I don't always show it, I truly appreciate everything you both have done for me. I know I have been taken from you too soon. I know that this grief and sadness will take time to finally pass, but I want to tell you that it'll be okay. You have 6 other children to help you through this. Just know that I will always be looking down on you and that I will always love you both. Matthew, Jacob, Olivia, Patrick, David, and Adam. We have gone through many ups and downs. We've had endless fights and arguments. At the end of the day, this all doesn't matter. I wouldn't want to call anyone else my family. We may not always get along, but as we have gotten older, I have realized that it's getting easier to do this. I'm sorry to say that I won't be here to watch you all grow up and to support you all. I love each and every one of you, and I hope you all end up living the lives you dream of. To those who've I've grown up with in my hometown, to my coaches from East Jersey Elite and my teammates, you all have taught me valuable life lessons that have truly affected me. 6 years ago, you all took me in and helped me improve tremendously. Of the 4 years I've spent with this program and you coaches, I couldn't imagine having anyone else to support me in both cheer and life. To my old teammates, you were all like brothers and sisters to me. I miss our inside jokes, late-night hotel adventures, being with all of you on the mat, and all of our shared sweat and tears. We have pushed each other when we all believed there was nothing left to push. Thank you for creating a safe place for me to escape. Thank you for making this gym and the memories a second home. To my current teammates and coaches, thank you for welcoming me with open arms when I first joined the team. The memories made during basketball games, football games, bus rides, and cheer competitions will never be forgotten. Never would I have thought that I wouldn't have this last chance to not take the mat with you guys at States. I want to wish you all the best of luck, and I know you all will do great. Lastly, I would like to share one moment that I won't ever forget. When I first moved here, junior year, I had no friends, and I had to transition pretty quickly. I remember walking through the cafeteria the second day of school, not knowing anyone and feeling like a complete idiot. I decided to sit outside the cafeteria in the hallway. All of a sudden, two girls, now currently two of my closest friends, walked up to me, and I remember them saying, "Hey, you're in my APISH class. We were wondering if you'd like to sit with us at lunch." The next day, I found myself sitting in the hallway again, just because I couldn't find their lunch table and I didn't want to look stupid walking around the cafeteria. Once again, they went out looking for me and took me in again. From that moment, they have made my transition so much easier than it could have been. Because of them, I was able to make friends pretty quickly and grow close to many new friends. I wanted to thank these two and all of my friends that have been there with me through junior year up until now. I hope you all are able to live your lives to the fullest without looking back. Mom, Dad, family, and friends, thank you for all of the memories and the life lessons. I may have been taken too soon, but you all have the rest of your lives ahead of you. Live them to the fullest. Goodbye, and I love you all.
Next, I would like to invite Matt Chin to read his goodbye letter.
I'm short. Dear Mom and Dad and Elizabeth and all of my friends, thanks for making my life the amazing roller coaster that it always was. Mom, for always being there when I needed you, for always being a shoulder to lean on, for always knowing exactly what to say, for always supporting me whenever I wanted to do, even when you knew I would never follow through with it. Like when you bought me that skateboard in 5th grade that I never used even once, or when I said I was going to learn to play the guitar 5 years ago, again, never tried it even once. Because that's the thing, Mom. You always just wanted me to be happy. And I just wish that I had the chance to thank you for that, because now it's too late, and you'll never know how much I appreciated everything you did for me. And Dad, for always being my rock, for always being the voice of reason, always making time in your busy schedule to come to every one of my sports games, and always being proud of me. You're hard to figure out, Dad. You're endlessly calm, flawlessly stoic, and perfectly rational. But you're always there for me, and I can always depend on you to tell me exactly the right thing to do. But above all, Dad, you're my role model, and I'm devastated that I'll never get the chance to tell you how much you really meant to me. And it kills me that you'll never know how much I looked up to you, or how much I'm going to miss you, or how much I looked forward to you coming home from work every day, or how happy it made me to hear you yelling my name at every soccer game, lacrosse game, or track meet. Elizabeth, you were always my biggest supporter. I know that you looked up to me, and I just wish I could have told you that everything I ever did was just to set a good example for you. You're the greatest sister that I could have ever asked for, and I know that you'll continue being the kind, compassionate, and empathetic person that always had my back. And finally, to all of my friends, I'm glad that I was able to spend the best years of my life with you, there with me through my bad decisions and even worse driving, but believing in me nonetheless. I cherish all of our stupid conversations and dumb jokes, and I just wish I was able to tell you all how much I loved you. But enough about how I feel, because now I'm gone, and I'm afraid you'll have to get on without me. Don't cry. That's not what I would have wanted. Laugh and smile, and remember all the amazing times we had together while I was still alive. I don't really know how to end this. The last thing I'll ever say to any of you. So just hold me in your hearts and be good to each other. Thank you.
I would next like to invite Bella Barbosa to read her letter.
To my family, friends, teachers, classmates, and even people I haven't met yet. I never thought I would have to say goodbye so soon, but sometimes life throws things at us that we're not prepared to handle. But the hardest part about this is that none of you deserve to have this pain. As a consequence of my own actions, I have caused you immeasurable grief, and for that I am sorry. To my parents, I want to thank you for showing me what it means to love. Your love for each other and for me is astoundingly profound, and I genuinely don't know if I would have become the person I am without it. You both have supported me every step of the way, even when I really didn't deserve it. Sometimes I wonder if there was any way I could come close to being as good as you both, but now I'll never know. I'll never get to see you both grow old together. I'll never know what it's like to have even a fraction of the love you've shared. I'll never know what it's like to see yourself and the love of your life manifested in a child and feel such overwhelming love for them. Because in a split second, any chance I had was gone. To my sister, I hope that you know truly how much you inspired me, and even though we would eventually part ways, I never thought I would be robbed of the opportunity to see the strong, smart, and generous person you will become. I hope you can forgive me for my selfishness and know that I would give anything at all to turn back time. And to my friends, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I won't be able to be your bridesmaid like we promised in elementary school. I'm sorry that I broke our pact to have our kids grow up together and eventually get married so we could finally be a true family. I'm sorry that we can't grow old together because of my choice. And for the people I haven't met yet, I wish I got a chance to change your lives. Maybe it would just be a simple smile on the street that brightened your day. Maybe it would be a crazy coincidence that brought us together, but we'll never know. It's strange how something that may seem so inconsequential can have such a strong impact on so many people, but it's true. You never realize how many things you're choosing to give up until they're gone. So all I can say is goodbye. Goodbye to family dinners and sleepovers with friends. Goodbye to coming home from school and hearing, "How was your day?" Goodbye to spontaneous surprise trips with my dad or FaceTime calls that go on for hours with my sister. Goodbye to all the things I never thought I would lose. I took advantage of the gifts I was given in my life, and that's something I can now never change. The hardest part about having a life worth living is that it's a life painful to lose. But I thank you all to those who made a difference. I never wanted to say goodbye.
I would next like to invite Mrs. Richards to share her goodbye letter.
To my husband, Jim, we have made a great team for 32 years, but sadly our time together has come to an end. We've shared so many great memories. The birth of our children, our 25th wedding anniversary in Hawaii, our son Drew's wedding. But we also weathered some hard times, the worst being the death of our son, Brett. Thank you for a wonderful life together and for always being my biggest supporter. To my daughter Heather, what an amazing teacher you are. I will miss our discussions at the dinner table about teaching English, the latest book we've read, and just all the laughs we've shared over everything. I'm so sad I won't be there to go wedding gown shopping with you. I know someday you'll make a beautiful bride. Keep on teaching and remember why you do it. To my son Drew, the most amazing day was October 4th, the day of your wedding. While I was sad to see my little boy leave the house, I was thrilled to be gaining a daughter-in-law. I will never forget our mother-son dance, the fun we had practicing it and the fun we had actually performing it the day of your wedding. For me, it was never really about the dance, as much as it was just spending time with you. As our mother's son song said, "You'll be in my heart always." To my daughter-in-law, Amy, thank you for calling me Mom from the very beginning. I loved going wedding gown shopping with you, watching Hallmark movies with you, and most importantly, just watching how happy you made my son. You are truly a daughter to me. To my son, Brett, you would have been 22 years old this year, and I miss you every day. Having you with us for only 7 weeks on this earth was so short, but here we are, reunited in death. I'm sure you would have been Drew's best man for his wedding, and I just know you would have loved your sister-in-law, Amy. I find comfort in knowing that while your life was short, it served a purpose. Finally, to my students, you are the reason I come to school every day. Whether you realize it or not, I look at you as if you are my own children. On the days when I tough love you and I hold you to a deadline, it's because I want you to reach your full potential. I will miss all the laughs we've shared in class, and while I won't be there for prom or graduation, I will be there in spirit. I hope that beyond teaching you Beowulf and Canterbury Tales, I've shown you the importance of being kind, being respectful, and being humble. Go out and live the life you are meant to live. With love, Wendy, Mom, Mrs. Richards.
I would next like to invite Peyton Hopek to read his letter.
Dear Mom and Reagan, when trying to think of all the things that you guys have taught me, flashbacks come through my mind constantly. Together, after Dad died, we promised to stay with each other until death. We promised each other to continue to stay as strong as possible. Yet I have failed both of you guys. I did not stick with the game plan. Instead of doing everything together, I tried to be different. I did not call for help and let my own ego get in the way. Many people say it is impossible to lose one immediate family member at such a young age. Yet I made it too. Mom, I have no words to describe what I was thinking. I always took the easy way out. This time, it finally caught up to me. There is no opportunity to fix this mistake and try better next time. You are the biggest inspiration I have ever had. You dealt with a sick spouse for nearly my entire life. When his fight finally failed, you never gave up. The amount of times you did not sleep at night would be hard to count. I will never forget the amazing March Madness experiences we had. I knew you were so excited to see me go to college, yet you never will. Reagan, I just want to say how proud you make me. Your work ethic is relentless, something I wish I would have had learned from you. The amount of times you asked me for help only made me question why I didn't do the same for you. I will forever remember your first varsity basketball points and how happy you made Mom and I. I hope you keep going to Rutgers games with Mom and keep her company. What hurts me right now is that we talked about me walking you down the aisle. Now, Dad and I both won't be able to do so. Dad could not control what happened, but I could. I hope you keep working hard, and I will always be trying to give you pointers from up above. Grandma, you were the one person that was always on my side, no matter what happened. No matter what happened to me, you would always cool my mother down and sneak me candy when she would lose it on me. I'm sorry for taking advantage of your generosity and putting shame on your shoulders. To my friends, there have been countless memories that will last a lifetime. Hopefully, I left a positive outlook on your life as you did for me. I wish I would have listened to your advice and opened up to you. You guys were always there for me, yet I failed to give you a chance. To my coaches, I was never the most talentedly gifted player, but I always poured my heart onto the court or field. I'm sorry for being so hot-tempered and want to thank you for the great memories you have made in my life. Character is something that defines one's true self, and all the high school coaches that barely knew me added upon this highest honor. It meant the world to me when all of you showed up at my father's funeral. The worst part is, now you have to go to mine. To my teammates, I never meant to get on any of you in a negative way. I just wanted what was best for the team, and now I have realized what being there for one another really means. You always wanted what was best for me, and I wish I would have taken that to heart a little bit more. To my church group, we had so many amazing adventures while talking about positivity and the true meaning of life. I took advantage of that and paid the price. Teachers, thank you for the long-lasting memories and impacts on my childhood. You taught me to become a young man and helped me in any way possible. Scarlett, although I was reluctant upon getting you at first, you were an amazing puppy and were always an option for me to go to. I wish everyone the best of luck with the rest of their lives and want you guys to learn from my mistakes. I will forever love all you guys. I'm truly sorry, but words do not define actions. Peyton.
And now, it is my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker, Mrs. Pam O'Donnell. She is here today to speak with you about how an impaired driver wreaked havoc on her life. Thank you for taking the time to join us today.
Okay. Hi. Thank you, everybody, for having me. Just listening to all of these letters being written had changed my whole dynamic of what I was about to say. My name is Pam O'Donnell. I'm from Hudson County, Bayonne, New Jersey. This is going to be tough. Tomorrow will be the 4th-year anniversary of the car crash that killed both my husband and my 5-year-old daughter. Was a high school teacher at County Prep in Jersey City. My daughter was 5 years old, and she wanted to be a cancer-curing singing doctor. And the reason why she wanted to do that was because in 2014, I was diagnosed with brain cancer, and I spent the entire year in a hospital. I was given my last rites 4 times. I was told I was going to die. There's nothing they can do for me. So in the hospital bed on 4 different occasions, my husband and my 2 little girls climbed into my bed and said goodbye to me on 4 different occasions, and we were at peace with that. Miraculously, though, in December of 2014, I survived, and the doctors to this day still cannot understand why I'm not dead. So with that, in 2015, we had the greatest year of our life. We renewed our wedding vows twice. We went on and we had so much fun, but reading all of the letters, the goodbye letters, and the kids, you guys are awesome, and thank you for having me here. But when you leave and you make a choice to text and drive, or drink and drive, or do drugs and drive, it will affect your loved ones forever. So with that, I've decided, after speaking to Mr. Seaver, that I'm going to read my victim impact statement, because it is the hardest letter and it explains everything that went on and what has happened 4 years from the day that my husband and my daughter died. So with that, this is my letter that I had to read in front of a judge with the person that killed my family just feet away from me. And it was only during the trial that, unfortunately, some of you, if you like Chicago PD or Law and Order, real life is not an hour episode. It was 104 hearings that I had to sit next to the man who killed my daughter. In fact, my daughter was cut in half. And I did not find out until I went to trial, and people from the medical examiner's office are here, and we become very good friends, so thank you for coming. It's a weird relationship, you're friends with medical examiner's office. But it wasn't until the trial that I found out she was cut in half. The day that I got the phone call, they brought me to Jersey City Medical Center. And my husband was already taken to the medical examiner's office. He was already said that he was dead, declared dead, and I had to go and ID my daughter's body. I literally looked over her entire body. I took the sheet off of her cold, naked body, and I never saw the cut. I never saw the cut across her stomach, and it wasn't until March of last year that I was told, with medical examiners being on the witness stand, the doctor that performed her autopsy, that she was cut in half. Both of their necks were cut. So for me as a mom, it may not be medically correct. I always live by the idea that they were decapitated but only held by skin. So I appreciate all the letters that you wrote. But real life after you are gone will never be easy. So with that, I'm going to read my victim impact statement. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. With all due respect, I have to be very real and raw and honest in memory of my husband and daughter, father, sister, coach, and my now only daughter. I started this impact statement the night of the crash over 3 years ago. At the time when I read this letter, it was 1,186 days to be exact. And now that that time came to put it all in writing, I found it to be incredibly hard while physically and emotionally draining. I thought because I started it so early it would be easy when this moment came. Well, it's not. Where does one begin and end in telling how the slaughter of half a family, a father, a husband, a coach, a friend to many, a teacher, my partner, and my now only daughter's hero? The slaughter of a 5-year-old little girl who was our daughter, our life, our heart, our joy, our troublemaker number 2, as she was known. A sister, a keeper of secrets, a player of dress-up, a singer, a dancer, a best friend. None of it makes any sense, none of it, because somebody chose to do drugs and drive. Somebody made a choice to go out and make a bad decision, and now I am paying the price for it. By now you have read the letters that were given to you from the coworkers, friends, students, players, members of the community, and should have an idea of the people that they were and that the world has lost. I'm respectfully asking that the defendant get a copy of all the letters with names and addresses redacted as a part of the punishment, and the person responsible for starting the chain of events of February 22nd, 2016, be made to be read in each and every one of them during his time in prison. So today, 4 years ago today, was the last day that I spent with my 5-year-old daughter and her sister and her dad. It was the last day, 4 years ago. So this is incredibly hard for me to be standing here in front of you now. Probably one of the hardest speeches I've given, because tomorrow we're going to celebrate their life. But even with all those letters, I'd like to share some very personal stories of the father, the coach, the teacher, and husband that was taken far too soon. Our little girl that wanted to grow up and be a cancer-curing singing doctor. In 2014, we endured what we thought would be the most difficult time in our lives as a family. On Mother's Day weekend, I was diagnosed with an extremely rare head and neck cancer that should have killed me. I spent the better part of 2014 in the hospital, and there was not one day that went by that my husband Tim made sure I saw our girls. Albeit most times was from the window, as I was too sick for the girls to see up close. In his dual role as mom and dad for the time being, he would be outside with signs with the girls, and they would come to the hospital and call me from the phone so that I can witness the spectacle of the girls clapping, waving, and dancing, and doing the Macarena, singing, and having tea parties on the grass outside of my hospital window. It was Tim, Bridie, and Allie that pulled all of us through our darkest moments. It was Tim, Bridie, and Allie who had to say goodbye to me on numerous occasions as I was given my last rites. It was Tim who had to explain to a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old at the time that their mom was dying, and I wasn't going to be here anymore. And it would only be Bridie, Allie, and Daddy, which subsequently became known as the Bad Tour. They had a following. Anyone that knew us, they truly knew us as a couple and as a family, and not those who were on the outside thinking they knew about us. They knew that we were never the couple that would tell each other what to do. We were never the ones to have asked permission from each other, but Tim became that person when he would whisper in my ear as I lay dying in the hospital, "You're not allowed to die." And when I wanted to give up the chemo and the radiation, he would always whisper, "But just take a chance, you have nothing to lose." And now I have "Take a Chance" tattooed on my wrist, because I'm taking a chance every day that I come to schools and talk to students like you. It was through our cancer journey, and I say ours because cancer was not a single person issue, it was a family issue. It was then that Bridie, affectionately she was called Bridie, decided she wanted to be a cancer-curing singing doctor. While her daddy was a hero, she also held my oncologist in very high regard. After all, he was the one who was able to make the blood come out of my hand. And she would sit there and cheer him on. "Do it again, Doc. Do it again. More blood. Take more blood." She formed a very special bond with my doctor, so he called her his very own Dennis the Menace. And she had planned on play dates with him as we'd become very close with his family, but sadly those days never happened. She was a very compassionate little girl. When she was allowed to visit me, whether it be in the cancer treatment room or in the hospital room, she would put a smile on everyone's face. She would go around the room singing her favorite original songs that many here, well, at the time it's in court. She made up her own song, and for those of you that have little brothers and sisters, her favorite song to sing was, "I have to fart. I have to fart. I really, really have to fart." And honestly, I'd give anything to listen to her do that. And then right after the "I have to fart" song, she'd come out with a beautiful song. "I love sunshine. so she liked farting in sunshine. There's a saying that you never wake a sleeping child. Well, on the rare occasion I was home, it was Dr. Bridie that trained herself to wake up every 2 hours and help her daddy give me my next dose of medication. It was Bridie that would sanitize injection point and count 1, 2, 3. Okay, Mommy, here it comes. Then she'd kiss my thigh, as that was her height, and ran off back to sleep and wake up 2 hours later and come back out and do it again. The ramifications of the choice that somebody made to drive impaired and distracted on February 22nd, 2016 are endless. Not just because half a family was slaughtered, but in the event that my cancer comes back, I will leave my now only daughter parentless. So when I say that, and I'm going to go off script with this statement, I need all of you to know that this is real life. The choices you make, and I said it last night in a hotel room, everything affects everyone. It trickles down. When you guys all got in here and you were listening to some of the statements, I heard some of you laughing and everything. This is real life. I am real life. My now only daughter is living a life of 4 years without her dad and her sister, and she feels very alone. My elderly dad and I don't have to imagine how incredibly disgusting it was when we had to sit in court in April of 2017 and listen to the defense attorney ask for the defendant to get a lower bail or let out entirely because his mommy was sick. The defendant was 36 years old. He wasn't even a high school student that just got their license. He was 36. He should have known better. Having no regard that my now only daughter has 2 caretakers that were stolen from her, my 2 caretakers were stolen, and a little girl left scared and terrified that the thought of mommy cancer's come back. There's nothing they can do for me, because that's the God's honest truth. I've been radiated to the max, I've been chemoed to the max, but because of the choice that a man made to drive through Manhattan and through the Holland Tunnel, when he was drunk and high and distracted, there's a very good chance that my daughter will be alone. I mentioned that my daughter was a very compassionate little girl. It was Bridie that we would joke we would have to have a separate bank account for fear she would be arrested, but for a good reason, whether it be for standing up to bullies, as she had done numerous times, even in a foreign country. Throughout her very short life of protesting racial inequality, yes, in 5 short years of life, she knew what racial inequality was, because another one of her heroes was Martin Luther King Jr. In fact, his birthday became a bigger celebration in our house than birthdays or Christmas. We were raising our children that were blind to race, color, and creed, which was very evident in his speech the day that it became public. She ended all of her speeches with, "Love is always in our heart." Clearly, someone in the courtroom that day lacked, and to this day still does, because he holds absolutely no remorse, none whatsoever. It was Bridie that almost missed her soccer team picture because her teammate fell and blood was everywhere. And she sat by his side, rubbing his back and holding her soccer headband on the wound to stop the bleeding until his mom came. Even when the mother of the teammate arrived, she was told she could go get a picture. She didn't go. She sat and tended to him and not leaving his side. One would think or expect the older sibling to be the one with the nurturer, but in fact it was Bridie that consoled her big sister. Like her big sister, Bridie was born 3 weeks early, and Bridie and Allie were stuck together at the hip like glue. Bridie skipped over crawling and walking and went straight to running at 8 months old to catch up to her sister. They both had separate rooms, but somehow woke up together, wrapped in each other's arms. You see, Tim and I were older parents. We wanted another child for our first daughter in the event that one of or both of us got sick. We didn't want Allie to be an only child, but yet here we are. a then 6-year-old becoming an only child. The silence is deafening. The silence on our block where we live is deafening. Bridie and Allie were the only two that brought life back to an otherwise quiet and lifeless block. In fact, our neighbors started coming out to watch the girls ride their bikes together, play in the dirt, have snowball fights, blow bubbles, just scream and laugh. They brought joy to so many, as only the O'Donnell sisters could, and everyone knew them. Many even thought they were twins. They finished each other's sentences. They were the best friends. And again, I'll say they were stuck together like glue. Together, they joined a baton twirling team 14 days after the slaughter of half of our family. My now only daughter had to perform her baton twirling routine without her partner. So the car crash that took my family didn't just affect our family, it affected everybody that we came in contact with. The entire routine had to be changed. So imagine like your cheerleading team and the football team, and you have everything figured out, and I know you guys are doing Mamma Mia soon, and somebody dies. The whole thing has to be changed. But it had to be changed because somebody made a bad decision. They made a bad choice. It wasn't an accident. I need you kids to understand what you do, the choices you make, will affect everybody around you. I can go on and on about the sassy, crazy, fun-loving, precocious little girl that she was, that she loved Yo Gabba Gabba. In fact, can you all see the picture up there? Can you recognize this? I got this from the car. This is all I have left from that car crash. And underneath that white sheet is my husband. So she was a big Yo Gabba Gabba fan. My husband, being a school teacher, as many of you are here now, was a big man who had an even bigger personality, but in a more subtle and quiet way. He was a man for others, as was the creed to live by at St. Peter's Prep, the Jesuit high school that he attended. There is not a person you could find that knew him that could say anything bad about him. He had a Fraser Crane, for those of you that are old enough to remember that type of humor. He was incredibly smart and witty. He was an avid, and please don't laugh at this, he was an avid New York Giant fan, as am I, and a New York Met fan. Don't chuckle. I get it. They both stink. Rutgers basketball. He was a teacher, and he taught for the right reasons. He wanted to make a difference, and he did it as evident by the outpouring of support from his students. The hundreds and hundreds that went to see his body lifeless in a box. Some being their first time at a viewing. Now, we have a coffin here, but there's nobody in it. But just imagine your favorite teacher being killed. 2 teachers were killed, right? They came and paid homage and respect to the teacher that changed their lives. There's a line in a Kenny Chesney song that was forwarded to me from one of his students. It's 4 years later, and I keep in touch with all of his students. It describes my husband perfectly. You were teacher, preacher, mother, father, a lot less taker than giver, a keeper of secrets and constantly making believers out of quitters. That line alone describes now my only daughter's hero, my husband, my partner in life through good times and bad. Softball was something that brought us together. He's the only coach in Hudson County to be named County Coach of the Year twice for 2 separate teams. It was something that united us and brought us together. In fact, it was because of his softball team that we were officially engaged. There was no other way for him to pop the question than to include his team, our girls, and they're still our girls, who now have children of their own that will never be coached by him. Coaching was his life. It was my life. It was our life. We found out our first child was a girl. We immediately went and got her pink glove. The day I had to go have an emergency C-section, his team was playing in a tournament. I told him, just meet me at the hospital when it's over. Meant so much to us that he would be there. But in true coach fashion, he didn't listen and he came to the hospital. Without him, they went on to lose that game. A few days later, when we were bringing our first daughter home from the hospital, as you moms here in the audience would know, the doctor would tell you to bring your kids straight home. Well, we didn't do that. We took my now only daughter to the ball field. Figured she's going to get dirty anyway. By the age of 4, my daughter had acquired 3 gloves and 2 aluminum bats. All we're waiting was for her to turn 5 so she can do pitching lessons. Coach spent numerous hours searching on where to get a face guard for a 4-year-old helmet. Yes, and in Coach true fashion, he found one. It wasn't surprising. She grew up on a softball field. She had an instant big sisters in the team, and naturally we had both hoped it would become her sport. Then baby number 2 came, Bridget Mary Ryu. The same thing happened. They both grew up on a softball field. He to this day is the only coach, as I mentioned, to be Coach of the Year twice. As the girls got older, he felt it was time to dedicate his coaching to his daughters. So in November of 2015, he was involved in revamping the Bayonne Little League softball program. Sadly, though, that too never came to fruition, as he was cut down 4 months after putting the public notice out about the program. His own girls should have had the opportunity to be coached by him, but again, that never happened. Not only did it never happen, my now only daughter wants absolutely nothing to do with the sport that made us a family. Softball wasn't the only thing that Coach did with love and compassion, and yes, I did call him Coach, even though I was his wife. Shortly after our cancer journey, he was noticing there was a student who was having some issues with grades and coming in late, or not at all. He shared with me a story that he found out that his student's mom was dying of breast cancer. He connected with this student on telling him or her about our own journey. Come to find out that this student was the only child, and it was only the 2 of them, the student and the mom. This concerned him, and he asked me about the possibility that if he could go through the proper channels, in the event that his student's mother dies, would it be okay if the student came and lived with us? And of course I said yes. Because of the events of February 22nd, 2016, I have absolutely no idea who the student is, because he wasn't allowed to tell me because of privacy issues. I wonder a lot about where they are and who they are with, but I'll never know what happened to that student. Again, like last night in the hotel, we were talking about everything that you do affects everybody, whether you know it or not. I have absolutely no idea what happened to that student, and I worry every day. In the summer of 2015, as a family, we were living our best life. We had 2 more weddings. After all, I survived cancer, and we all thought we would be burying me at some point. What better way to celebrate our new lease on life as a family of 4? We went on our first and ultimately last trip out of the country to the hotel that Bridget Mary Ryu was named after, and they invited us as their guests because of her name. Yes, her middle name was in honor of all our dearest friends that we met from around the world at a Ryu hotel. My husband surprisingly added it to the birth certificate. We believed with our new lease on life we would grow old together and watch our girls grow up and thrive and have families of their own. But sadly, again, because of February 22nd, that will never happen. To this day, my now daughter has no desire to see the friends that she's made at the hotel. Instead, her and I had to find a new place to call our designated vacation spot, because when we did go after the crash, unbeknownst to me, we went to the Dominican Republic, and it turned out that it was Father's Day weekend when we went. Well, she didn't have a father to participate in the Father's Day activities. And there were some little boys that were at the pool that were bullying her and laughing at her because I showed up in place of her dad. But it wasn't her choice not to have her dad. Somebody else's choice that decided to drink and drive and do drugs. Death of a loved one changes the way you breathe. I'm a living example of that. It changes your mentality, your brain function. There's such a thing as widow brain, and if you don't know what it is, count yourself lucky. Your physical body changes. Your hobbies and your interests change. Your sense of security, your sense of humor. Every single thing about you changes. You're handed a new life that you never asked for and that you don't want. It's the hardest, most gut-wrenching, horrific, life-altering of things to live with. The human touch is important, especially to a child, and we don't have that anymore because somebody made a choice to get behind a wheel of a weapon of mass destruction. And other people made the choice to not call 911. There's so many videos out there of people taking videos of fights and laughing and, social media. Not one person called 911. Had they called, you may not be here listening to me talk. But what they did do, they drove by the crash and they took out their cell phones and they took pictures of my dead daughter strapped in her car seat with her head slouched, because at that point she was decapitated on the inside. They took videos of the car crash. So I'm asking you all, when you go out and you see things happening and you see all of these YouTube videos and social media issues, I'm totally okay with you taking video because you never know when that video will be used as evidence. But I do ask that you make a solemn promise today that you'll call 911 first and make a difference. Had somebody had the courage to intervene, my daughter would be 9 years old. My husband would be here, and you guys wouldn't be listening to me. I don't want to be here doing this. After the initial shock of such a traumatic loss, grief comes in waves. When you drive in your car, while you're doing the dishes, while you're getting ready for work, a song will come on the radio and all of a sudden it hits you, both mentally and physically painful. I'm 4 years into this. I'm physically sick every day. There isn't a night that I don't cry myself to sleep. And people ask me, how do I get up here and how do I do things like this? Because I've gone all up and down the state of New Jersey and I've gone to Chicago and I've spoke to audiences like this before, but it's the only way I know how to grieve. Because I refuse to let my family die in vain. There's a moment when our child dies. It's yesterday, tomorrow, forever. It is the past, it's the present, and it's the future. It wasn't just one finite, horrific moment in time that just happened. It is not just the moment, the hour, the second, the millisecond. Our life became permanently divided into before and after. And people that know me my whole life refer to me as the before Pam, the before the crash, and the after the crash. Some might say, but she didn't die last year, or 10 years ago, or 5. No, she didn't. Our child dies over again every morning we wake up. So for you kids that wrote your letters, which were beautiful, the parents that are here, your parents that are here, they are going to mourn you every single day. Every single day. Every moment in between, and again, every breath we take, our child dies every moment they're not here with us for the rest of our lives. There are no daddy and daughter dances. There are no take your kid to work days. There will be no daddy to walk her down the aisle. She will never be an aunt. She'll never have a dad's shoulder to cry on when a boy breaks her heart, or a girl. There is no math or science teacher to help her with homework, and God knows I hate math and I stink at it. I'm horrible at it, so any math teachers, I could probably use a tutor soon. There is no amount of therapy that can bring back what my daughter needs most. There's no amount of therapy that can bring back the childhood that she deserved. It was killed along with her dad and sister. To this day, neither of us can watch the movie Frozen because when I was in the hospital, my 2 little girls would watch Frozen with us. It was instrumental in my cancer journey. And that night on a Monday, at about 6 o'clock at night, when she came walking in my house and there were 500 people, the streets were all blocked off and the TV crews were out there, she knew something was up. And she went around the house looking for her dad and sister. And she looked at me and said, "Mom, where's Daddy? Where's Bridget?" And I had nothing else to tell her but the truth. And the first thing she said to me was, "But Mom, what about a true love's kiss? It works in all the Disney movies." I had to tell her the truth, that I tried and it didn't work. At that very, very moment is when I realized not only did this 36-year-old man who chose to do drugs and drive, he not only killed my husband and a dad, he not only killed my daughter, he took away my daughter's childhood. She will forever live with that, and I will forever live with that. So I come and I do these things not to make people cry. I come because I need you to understand that this isn't a Law and Order episode, that the choices you make will affect everybody for the rest of your lives. And there is, the Department of Human Services sent me statistics. My daughter goes to grief camp every year. And, you know, even in grief camp, she still feels isolated and alone because she's the only kid yet to meet that has lost 2 members of her family at the same time. So the Department of Human Services sent me some statistics that when a child grieves the loss of a caretaker or a loved one, so by a show of hands, how many of you students have younger brothers and sisters? Okay. Well, if you decide to make poor choices, what I'm telling you now is what they're going to have to live with. They are 5 times more likely to commit suicide. They're 9 times more likely to drop out of high school. They're 10 times more likely to engage in substance abuse. And they're 20 times more likely to have behavioral issues. Now, because my daughter lost 2, did we double that? So even though I know some of you may have little kids and you think you're all cool, you're on the football team and you're a cheerleader and your little stubborn sibling wants to hang out with you, but they're watching every single move that you make. So those of you that are driving, and when mom lets you drive your siblings to soccer practice or cheerleading practice or dance or whatever it is, know that there are eyes in the back seat that are watching what you're doing. They're going to emulate your every single move. I look at you, and I told Mr. Seaver, and I told several people already that I had fallen in love with all of you students that I met so far. And I kind of want to buy the house across the street now because I want my daughter to come to this school. The idea that my cancer could come back and my daughter be left alone, I'm going to have to rely on kids like you, students like you, that are going to have to guide her, whether it be if you go into politics or whatever it is. How many of you are football players? Right? Anybody who wants to be on American Idol or be in the NFL or... You can't do any of that if you're dead. You can't do any of that if you're in jail. All of it goes to waste. I'm asking you all to please be very cautious. It's a 3,000-pound, I go out and call it a weapon of mass destruction, because it destroyed my life. It destroyed my little one's life. Every single year, approximately 40,000 people die on a United States highway or local road because of distracted and impaired driving. 100% of those car crashes are preventable. 1 every 15 minutes. That's 100 people a day are dying. So I'm not the only family that's going through this. And I don't want it to be your family either. When I had cancer, something else I got from the car. How many of you guys that are, ESPN fans, do you remember Stuart Scott? Stuart Scott had cancer. This is his book that my husband gave me that I read over and over and over again while I was in the cancer treatment. He died shortly after I was diagnosed as cancer-free. And look at the shape of it. We got that from the car. And I carry it with me, just the way it is now. And do you remember when he got the ESPY Awards? Do you remember that speech? It was one of the greatest speeches anybody could ever listen to. So if you get the chance, everybody please go on and Google Stuart Scott ESPY Awards speech. One of the lines I always close out my speeches with is, you beat cancer by how you live, why you live, and in the manner of which you live. Now that has to do with cancer, but I attribute that to every single thing. And just recently, my husband's student reached out to me, and I had just found out about this band called Disturbed. How many of you know Disturbed? Well, there's a line in a song, I want you kids, all of you. So now go do the best things in life. Take a bite of this world while you can. Make the most of the rest of your life. Make a ride of this world while you can. I have to rely on all of you to make sure that the world is a better place because of my now only daughter. And I don't know any one of you, but God, I really, truly am in love with all of you. Because I know that you're our future. I know that my 10-year-old daughter who is alone and she's depressed will have kids like you looking out for her. So I'm going to end it with that. If anybody has any questions, please raise your hand. I'm open to questions. If anybody wants to know, the person that was convicted of killing my family was sentenced to 37 years. It was not pretty. He has absolutely no remorse whatsoever, none. In fact, when he was sentenced, he actually seeked me out in the courtroom and decided to tell me how to parent my only child. And then he thought my now only daughter was in the courtroom, and he seeked her out and started calling her name, saying, "Allie O'Donnell, where are you? Allie, where are you?" And she wasn't there, luckily. And he said, "I won't hurt you. I'm not a monster. I want to be your friend." It was 104 hearings that I had to go to. So please, whatever you get from today, from the last 2 days, understand the choices you make are extremely important. I don't want, for you parents that are sitting here, I don't want any one of you to ever experience anything like I am. Nothing. I would hate for any of you to have to go through what I am. It's a horrible, horrible existence, and it's not a TV show. So I just want to say thank you for having me. If there's any questions, I'm open to it. Anything? Anybody? Oh my God, this is the quietest room ever. I'm a little scared. Mr. Seaver, do you have anything? I went a little short, I'm sorry. Is that okay?
Thank you so much.
I'll leave this here until we're done. I just need the water.
Hi, everybody. Thank you once again, Ms. Pam O'Donnell. I appreciate the support of my Trent Executive Board, all the Days of Realization students, an amazing job. I hope everybody here felt what we're trying to accomplish. For the juniors in this auditorium, 6 years down the road, you're going to be coming back to this high school for your 50-year reunion. So the seniors, you're going to be coming back in 5 years for a 50-year reunion. And at that time, if you listen and pay attention to these scenarios that were designed by the Trend Executive Board, and you think about, wow, and you put that phone down, you decide not to answer that text message, or you decide that, hey, I'm walking down the street and I'm crossing the street. I'm going to put that phone down. I'm going to pay attention to what's going on around me. For the last 20 hours, these students in the first 2 rows here at this auditorium had no electronic devices. You know what they did? They looked at each other in the faces. They played Uno. They had conversations. It was amazing. And so many of us, we go through every single day of our lives just looking at an electronic device. So when you go home today, remember what some of the things you heard from Miss Pam O'Donnell. Go home and tell the people that you love them. Give them a hug. You may not have a chance to do it the next day or an hour from now. And 5 years down the road, if you listen to the messages that were given here today, when you go to those class reunions 5 or 6 years down the road, you're going to see one of your classmates. Give them a hug, give them a kiss, give them a good handshake. And they're going to be there maybe because the message that was trying to be passed on to you today through this 2-day effort is going to resonate, and it's going to continue to go out around the community. And please share it with your family. Please share it with your friends. When you go off to college, please continue to share it, and just be aware how precious life is. And I want to thank you all for giving me this opportunity to put this program together for you. Thank you.
On behalf of the Trend Executive Board, we would like to thank the students and faculty who participated in the program, as well as the Mountainside Watts Foundation for their generous donations. Thank you, GL, for your willingness to learn and participate. Finally, thank you to Mr. Seaver and the Trend Executive Board for planning this event. The loss of life is devastating. While this is a simulation, tragedies affect more people than fathomable. We walk past students and staff in the hallway, unaware that all of whom have lost someone near to them. Today, we woke up knowing we would see our friends and family later in the day. Unfortunately, this simulation is a reality for some people. Please remember these past 24 hours and carry them with you. Many of you are starting a new journey after high school, while others are filling the shoes of the seniors that stand here today. You are all the leaders of this school. Before you pick up your phone or participate in any one of the activities we have witnessed over the past 24 hours, think. We all have the potential to impact someone else's life positively. However, we have the potential to impact their life negatively. It's just as easy to give as it is to take. That is what makes life so fragile. Now, it's your turn to make a difference. Thank you.
All right, good afternoon. My name's Domenico. We have some time, so we want to share something that the DOR students and the Trend Executive Board did last night. Last night we had a guest speaker at our hotel. Her name is Mrs. Lorraine Reedy. She was a counselor at Mountain Park. Some of you may know her from there. But she gave this really great presentation, and kind of want to share it. So here I have a bucket. She told us everybody is born with a bucket. Okay? This bucket starts off empty, but you have the power to fill a bucket and to empty a bucket. Now, then she pulled out a pair of tongs, right? And then she said, this could be anything. These could be your words, these could be your actions. This could fill a bucket or empty a bucket. So we all thought she was crazy because we were like, what the heck is she talking about, a bucket and some tongs? But we came to learn that there was purpose behind this. So then she gave us some paper and said, what are you thankful for in life? And a lot of us had family, friends, stuff like that. And she had us write down, how do we fill other people's buckets? And a lot of those things were small things like hold the door, smile at someone. I think the big message that Ms. O'Donnell gave today was that it is a small thing in life that will impact the rest of your day or the rest of your life. It is one action of one person that could affect you forever. And I think that's the biggest message we could get out of the past 2 days is somebody's one small action could affect everybody. Thank you again. Have a good weekend. I think we're going to wait in here to get dismissed. Correct, Mr. Seaver? Yes. All right, fantastic. So hang out till the bell rings. Have a fantastic weekend.